90.5 the night, Brookdale Public Radio. Jeff Raspe here with you. I've got my old buddy Gerry Perlinski from the band Lost Romance with me today. How are you? Good to see you.
Doing good, Jeff. How are you?
Okay. And it's been a while since you were here, and actually, technically, you're still not here.
True.
But we decided to reacquaint ourselves with you and Lost Romance because you guys have an upcoming show at the Saints in Asbury Park, Thursday, July 28th, which, from what I could tell, came up sort of quickly. So we're just trying to help out a little, get the word out that this show is happening, because it's a show that sort of deserves to be realized that it's happening, not just because you guys are playing, but because the one and only Jody Porter is playing, and I couldn't even tell you the last time he did a show on the Jersey Shore. It might have actually been a Fountains of Wayne show the last time he played on the shore. I could be wrong, though. So it's Thursday, July 28th at the Saint. Jody Porter, who most people know from Fountains of Wayne, although he has been in a number of other bands over the years. And Lost Romance. And do you know if anybody else is on the bill yet?
As of now, that's it. But there may be some special guests. So haven't been announced. They could be popping in from anywhere. So it could be anybody.
But you guys are on the show because you guys are actually friendly with Jody, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't there somebody in Lost Romance who has even a musical connection, not just a friendly connection with Jody?
Well, yeah. Our bass player Dan, he actually was in a band with Jody back in the early 2000s, a band called the Astro Jet. So they're around New York City around early 2000s or so, and part of that whole scene back then with the Strokes and all those types of bands. So the early aughts.
I remember it well.
Yep.
If anyone's read the oral history of the Strokes that was it maybe Salon some years ago, that sort of ripped the covers off of what life on the Lower East Side was like back then. If you were in the Strokes and in their orbit, most of them probably don't remember.
Probably not.
But I do remember.
I remember it too. I remember playing all those same venues, Lower East Side, a lot of fun. Ludlow, what was it? All those places on Ludlow and Stanton, all those places on Orleans and whatnot. Mercury Lounge, obviously. Brownies, all those places. So
absolutely,
a lot of fun.
So this upcoming show with and we should actually mention that I guess part of why Jody is playing this show is that he has a relatively new album as well, which I haven't heard yet. I've been told one is on the way to me.
Okay, it's excellent. It's really, really good. It's definitely a little different, I think, than Fountains of Wayne.
But yes, we should probably mention that if you are interested in going to see the Jody Porter Lost Romance show at the Saint, it will not necessarily be Fountains of Wayne if that's what you're expecting.
Right. As far as we know.
Yeah.
He may. Who knows? He may throw in a gem here and there. But yeah, his new record's fantastic. It's an album called Waterways. I think he recorded most of it in England. So I think he did a lot of that, studio work over there, and it's really good. It has a little more of a shoegazy kind of feel to it. I dig it. I really dig it.
Awesome.
Not just saying that because we know him. It's a great album.
Yeah. Cool. So he's not living in England, is he?
To be honest with you, I don't know where he's living right now. I know he's passing through here. I know he's spent a lot of time down south, South Carolina. That's kind of how our bass player Dan met him through down Charleston back in those times.
Oh wow! Okay,
so a connection down there, as far as I know.
Because obviously, in my head, he'll always be a New Yorker.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the band itself, obviously Fountains kind of, came to be in Jersey and New York, and, so I know Adam was from Montclair,
Hmm.
as far as I know, and all those guys are from, I think, from
Yeah,
this area too. So yeah, cool stuff, man.
absolutely. So Thursday, July 28th, Jody Porter from the Fountains of Wayne and others
Mhm.
will be at the St. in Asbury Park along with Lost Romance and probably at least one other band that we don't know about yet. Um,
Yeah.
at least we're
Could
guessing.
be could be an invisible band. Who knows? You never know. Dialed in from another universe. Who knows?
Yeah. So let's talk for a second about Lost Romance.
Sure.
Now it's been I'm gonna say close to 2 years since your last album,
Yeah. So, you know,
which normally would be a long time, although
right.
considering the last 2 or so years we've had,
Hmm.
not necessarily a surprise.
Whatever do you mean, Jeff?
There've been a lot of albums either finished and then sat on, waiting for the world to come back, or
Yeah.
and actually, this brings up an interesting question.
Hmm.
I've talked to a number of musicians who, through whatever we're going to end up calling this in the future, COVID times,
Right.
um, and I, as a non-writer, non-player,
Right.
my immediate thought was, well, nobody has to, or nobody can be on tour.
Hmm.
So all of the normal, quote unquote, normal things that a band would have been doing meant all these songwriters are basically stuck at home. So
Right.
they're all going to come out of this with, drawers full, notebooks full of songs. And not everyone I've brought that up to has said yes. In fact, a number of people have said they just couldn't, there was no inspiration.
Right. Right. I'll have to agree with that. Unfortunately, you know, uh, I write songs. A lot of times I have like voice memos. I'll just have an idea and I'll put it down either on guitar or vocally or something. And so I've got like a backlog of stuff, a catalog of songs,
Of
um,
notes.
of notes, yeah, of
Yeah.
pieces of songs, riffs, ideas, lyric ideas, things like that. So, but yeah, I can totally agree with that. Is that when everything just like shut down, there was no inspiration. There was really no. It's like, okay, are we ever going to play live again? Are we ever
Yeah.
going to actually play in front of people? Like, I know for me as a musician, I love playing live. Not everybody does, I mean, sometimes people just
Yeah.
love the studio. Some people love, talking about things in interviews. Some people love playing in front of people. I love doing all of that, but I really love playing in front of people and getting that reaction. And when that disappears, it's a weird feeling. It's a very strange feeling, and it almost just kind of felt like, okay, why am I bothering to do this right now?
Right.
When there's so much other stuff going on right now, which is way more important. So yeah, I totally agree with that. I kind of like hermited out, you know,
Well,
and
and that
you know,
was semi surprising to me that so many songwriters I know
mm,
when, because pre-COVID times, the
right,
biggest complaint was always there's not enough time
mm-hmm,
to write.
right, right,
And for
right,
the last 2+ years, there's been nothing but time,
right,
but nobody sort of had it in. I mean, I guess part of it is the lack of travel, touring, interacting with people,
mm-hmm,
even just walking outside of your house,
right,
which, for a lot of the 2 years you couldn't do,
yeah.
that nobody had any inspiration to write anything.
It really is true, Jeff, because I even spoke about this to my wife, and she was expecting me to write like a double album or something,
Uh-huh.
all these records. I'm like, I'm just not feeling it like at all. You know, and it's weird. I felt strange too about it because I figured, oh yeah, I got all this time, and you know, I've kind of felt guilty almost in a way, like I really should be doing more, but it wasn't there, you know, and you can't force that kind of stuff, you know. It's like it's either
Right.
there or it's not, you know. So yeah, I mean, I'm not alone in that. It's good to hear that I'm not the only person, the only songwriter that felt that, you know, that it
Well, no,
kind of
yeah, and you know, I mean, for those of us on the outside, if we stopped and thought about it, we'd probably be sympathetic to the problem.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I can imagine that there are a lot of songwriters out there who are actually feeling like, oh my God, I finally got what I wanted after
Mhm.
all these years of some time, some
Right.
downtime to actually sit down and write, and nothing's coming.
Right. Yeah, because it's not a natural it was not a natural situation.
Hmm.
It was not like, you know, all of a sudden like you personally had all this time off. Everybody had this time off and you couldn't see anybody. You couldn't really hang out with anybody. So all those other factors I think added up to that piece too. Not being, you know, what people would expect, I guess.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, and I hadn't thought of that, because there, I mean, songwriters all the time will take 6 months, 9 months, a year off
Right.
from the touring part of it, or you know,
Sure.
the other parts of being a musician, and sit down. Okay, I need to write an album, so
Mhm.
we're not
Sure.
going to tour for the next 6 months while I write this album.
Right.
But that's that's downtime of your own volition.
Right. Right. Exactly. That's something that it's like, okay, this one person, this one artist is saying, hey, I'm gonna take this chunk of time. I'm gonna dedicate it to writing, you know, an album or just writing whatever, just a writing session or whatever it's gonna be. But the rest of the world doesn't stop. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everything else is still going on. You know, it's just you are, you know, taking that time out. But when everything stops and everything is just weird, you know, it's like,
Right. I mean, it's literally first time living through this for all of us.
oh yeah,
So nobody had anything to go on.
right,
You
right,
know, everything was a question mark. Everything still is a question mark.
right.
So,
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is also, you know, it was a time when, yes, you had to stay home and you really could do whatever you wanted. That stuff that you like you said, didn't have time to do before. You could read books, you can, binge TV shows, you
yeah,
can listen to music, you can get, drink as much wine as you like. You're not going anywhere, or eat whatever you like pretty much and that sort of thing. But at some point you get burnt out on it.
yeah.
Is how much can you do of that.
Especially if you've spent most of your life playing live shows, touring,
Yeah.
being in a recording studio for weeks on end, you know, that kind of thing. All of
Right.
a sudden being at home. Now, the flip side of this is I have spoken to a number of musicians who have children
Right.
and young children,
Right.
and they realized that it was a blessing
Mm.
to be able to see first steps, hear first words, you
Sure.
know, that kind of thing. When, you know, you sign up to be a touring musician, you pretty much accept the fact that you're going to miss a lot of things in your children's life.
Right. Right.
So all of a
Absolutely.
sudden, you know, as long as it happened within these last 2 or 3 years,
Yeah.
you got to see them. So a lot of musicians I've spoken to the last couple of years have said that's been the silver lining,
For
that
sure. For
they
sure.
didn't end up missing, you know, whatever first steps, first words,
Hmm.
school plays,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of stuff. So
But what
I guess there's a bright side.
but what did they say about homeschooling them? That it could drove them nuts after a while.
Well, that's I always wonder about that, and and I do know people who either do homeschooling or have been homeschooled,
Right.
and as a, let's say, passable student myself,
Mhm.
because I did pass.
Right.
Once I discovered records and music, the grade sort of suffered, but I did pass. I always wonder that, especially because I've watched my nieces and nephew grow up, and I'm watching them do math homework, and I have no idea what they're doing. This
Wow.
new math thing where it's just like, wait, that's okay. I get it that you end up at the same answer that I get, but how did you do that? That kind of thing.
Sure.
If you're the one doing the homeschooling, I guess you really only have to stay one lesson ahead.
Right. Yeah, fun stuff.
Gerry Perlinski from Lost Romance here with us today. His band Lost Romance will be at St. Thursday, July 28th, along with Jody Porter, who most folks will recognize from his years in the Fountains of Wayne, although he was in a number of other bands, including a number of his own bands over the years. So that's Thursday, July 28th. Jody Porter with his band and Lost Romance, and we think somebody else. We're not sure who yet. At least one more, I would guess. So speaking of what we were just speaking of, does that mean there is not a next Lost Romance record ready to be recorded? If all you've still got are voice notes in your phone?
No, there is. We actually already began recording.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, we have this single, which I believe is going to be the single for the next record, in the mixing stage right now. So that should be done probably by August, I would say, the single. The rest of the songs are being rehearsed right now. We're basically, flexing our musical muscles for the studio. We're getting everything all together.
And I'm sure some of it is muscle memory, but some of it is, getting back up to speed. It's funny that once a lot of bands went back on the road, all of a sudden a lot of bands had to postpone dates, not for COVID reasons, but because a lead singer lost his voice or something like that. And it occurred to me that everyone's out of game shape.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
So, a week and a half, 2 weeks into a tour, your voice is gone.
Well, I've got the perfect solution to that, Jeff. Okay. Within the last month or so, I've been picking up some solo acoustic shows. Okay. Which, nobody wants to hear 4 hours of Lost Romance. So I know that. So I throw in some covers, kind of mix it up, do that sort of thing. I've been doing a lot of those shows lately, and they've been 3 to 4 sets long.
Wow. So
I've been doing solo acoustic 3 to 4 sets long. So my vocal muscles are ready to go, man. I've been averaging like 3 shows a week at 4 sets. That's 12 sets every week. So that's what I recommend.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've been doing that. So the new single, which we're finishing up right now, we do have some special guests on it. I am going to announce it now just because I think it's worth mentioning.
Okay.
We've got Steve Ferroni from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers playing drums on the track. We've got Jack Daly from Lenny Kravitz's band.
Absolutely. And an Asbury Park local.
Absolutely. And he also is playing with Little Steven as well. And so he's on it. And we've got definitely a special Asbury Park local. We've got Sandy Mack playing harmonica on it.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So it's sounding great right now. Like I said, we're in the mixing stages of it, and it should be out pretty soon.
Excellent.
Yep.
Definitely send that over once it's ready for the world.
For sure. You'll be the first to know about it, Jeff.
Thanks. Gerry Perlinski of Lost Romance, Thursday, July 28th at the St. in Asbury Park, along with Jody Porter, who, like we've said, most people will know from his years in the Fountains of Wayne, but doing a solo set. I presume full band.
Full band, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I believe the band that he's going with now is Jody Porter and the Berlin Waltz. I believe that's the accompanying band. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. So that's coming up Thursday, July 28th. For anyone who wants to find out more about Lost Romance, it's lostromance.net.
Yes.
Is the best place to start.
Mm-hmm.
Latest album, Strum It Again, about 2 years old. And I actually didn't look this up. I probably should have. Were you one of the poor folks, due to timing, to unfortunately have a record released just as everything shut down?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. We had a tour that was planned in March of 2020, where it was going to end back here in Jersey City. We had a CD release party set, everything, and that's what happened.
None of that happened.
Yeah, it was a full tour. It was a U.S. tour. We were going to go down to South by Southwest, and probably about a good 3-week tour.
Nice.
All around the South and come back up the coast and everything. So, but it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
We still put it out. We felt like we're not going to wait. We want to get this out. Because people were hurting. At that time, and what better way to make people feel better than to put out new music?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think, again, going back to the fact that it was all a huge question mark at the time. I know a number of records were delayed,
right.
2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, thinking that that's about how long it would take for us to get back to normal. And I will always feel bad for Brian Fallon, because his solo album was scheduled to come out the Friday of complete lockdown.
Right. Well,
so,
we had started the tour already. We had done a couple local shows, and I think the last show we did was it was with a different local radio station near your area, which I won't mention.
Mm-hmm.
So since we're on your station, but a very big rock station.
Mm-hmm.
They sponsored it, and it was in Belmar, I believe, was the last show that we did, and then it was just like, nope. You're not doing any more shows.
That's it.
That's it. You're done.
Cool. So thanks a million, as always. Good to
Sure.
see you, Gerry, from Lost Romance. Once again, Thursday, July 28th, with Jody Porter from Fountains of Wayne at the Saint, Lost Romance, and special guests that we don't know and can't say. Lostromance.net for more information on Lost Romance. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes with us here at 90.5 tonight, Gerry.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeff. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Every day, the same old thing. It's the same old tune. We get mad, scream and fight until we're blue. I don't care, or I don't mind. Yes, I know it's true. But I don't care, no, I don't mind. I know it's true. I want you. I want you, and I want you, only you. Playing tease with my words, I need you so to understand that I'm your man, I can't let go. But I don't care, but I don't mind, yes I know it's true. No, I don't mind. And I want you